Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me, the wonderful Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Glad to have you in.
I mean, it's good to be here. I'm excited to trash movies.
Yeah, and you got quite a movie to trash. Napoleon Dynamite.
I mean, okay, listen. I realize it's not the most topical choice. But I don't watch a lot of movies, and frankly, it's probably because I saw Napoleon Dynamite in theaters and was so devastated years ago that I just haven't been the same.
It's just left an indelible scar on you ever since.
I just don't trust the suggestions of the people around me, even though the people around me when I watched Napoleon Dynamite were very different. But
yeah, I mean, it came out 2004, so it's a very different time in all of our lives, I think.
Yes. I had a friend, though, that was so obsessed with it. She saw it before I had even seen it. She had seen it 8 times in theaters already.
Oh my God.
She's like, well, in retrospect now, I'm like, oh, my friend is like a very mentally ill person. Like, she's crazy in like the fun way. But she just talked about it so much. It was one of those things where I think this happens a lot, but if you don't see or hear or check out like the newest thing right away, and then you just see people going on and on about how great it is, there's a high chance of disappointment, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's the way I felt about, I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. I felt that way about Jumanji, the new one.
The new one, I haven't even seen it because I'm like, how dare you?
That's how I felt watching it too. And everybody was like, oh, this movie's so great. And it's not that great.
That's so devastating.
Totally fine. But it's not, it's just, it disappoints me. Anyway, so for those of you who haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite or haven't seen it in a while, just a little refresher. It's a 2004 American comedy film. Thanks, Wikipedia.
Comedy.
Written by, I believe they are a Mormon husband and wife team, Jared and Jerusha Hess.
Oh.
Yep. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hello.
The film stars John Heder in the role of the title character, for which he was paid $1,000. And
wow.
It's about
too much money.
It's about a socially awkward 16-year-old boy from Idaho who lives with his grandmother and his older brother, and he is awkward and a high schooler, and that's the whole plot of the movie.
And he has like a drunk uncle or something.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Uncle
it was
Rico.
just like it was like an indie movie tried to also be funny, and let me just be like real clear. For the most part, I would say 99% of indie movies I think are fucking stupid. Like I don't
Really?
Yes, and I know I'm a trash bag for saying that, and I know I'm just lacking in probably some sort of artistic whatever, but like I don't need to see another coming of age story where a guy's like, my stepdad was mean when I was in high school, but here's a movie about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm shitty. I just like think I spend most of my free time in my head thinking about life, so I'm not into watching slice of life. I'm like, take me somewhere completely different.
Gotcha. I mean, and that's what indie movies mostly are.
And I think some people love that.
It depends. You know, there's movies that definitely feel too indie. Like, you know how there's bands that feel like they're too indie for indie's sake?
Yeah, well, it's like they're trying to be.
Yes.
Like, it's just a human tumbleweed on screen for an hour. And you're
right.
Like, I don't need to know about like you and your cat, Llewyn Davis, or whatever the fuck. I never saw it. It could be a good movie. But like, I remember seeing that preview. What is that?
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis, which I've actually heard is a very good movie. But I've heard that from a lot of people who probably said the same shit about Napoleon Dynamite when they were like in like high school or college or whatever age they were, middle school. What I'm trying to think. I'm just going through lists of like how old are the people I'm friends with, and they're like, it's just like so great. And when I first saw the preview for Inside Llewyn Davis, God knows what the fuck I was watching, but I was like, this is a joke. This is like a parody of indie movies. They're kidding. And they're like, haha, we got you. And they're not.
They didn't. I never saw Inside Llewyn Davis either. And I like the Coen brothers.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be one of those, like, you didn't realize it was satire and they're poking fun at you type of, like, so deeply joking. but apparently
it's real straight forward down the barrel.
Yeah.
Making just Bob Dylan homages the whole way through.
Like, I should like, but I don't know.
What do you think it is about Napoleon Dynamite in particular that set you off?
Okay.
Because you told me when I asked you what movie you wanted to talk about, you said this is the only movie that you've ever like hated outright.
Oh, well, first of all, I think the buildup had a lot to do with it. So many people being like, you got to see Napoleon Dynamite. And then just like, I still think, I'm very aware that maybe I'm just like too dumb to appreciate the humor. But
well, let's be honest.
When people were quoting like, Tina, I don't even remember that there was like an alpaca named Tina.
Yep.
And there was like an uncle.
And they're feeding her like tater tots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tater tots in this movie.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, great. I love tater tots too, but now I'm trying to think of all the fucking quotes that people.
There's obviously there's the iconic vote for Pedro shirts, which were so popular.
So popular. And
Everybody
I just was like, this is dumb. I'm like, okay, so he rallied behind this nice kid for him to be president. He did a dumb dance. I don't know.
What did it feel like sitting in the theater watching it after hearing all of your friends be like, oh my God, this movie's so great. You gotta go see it.
I wasted money and time. But like, it's just like clearly this nerdy kid who socially awkward, whatever, and people are just laughing because he's awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, now that I'm thinking about it, feels like most of my friends were laughing from a very bullying perspective. Where it's like,
yeah?
Ha ha ha, look at this fucking idiot, is how probably the people who I know or knew back then saw it.
Yeah, maybe. I believe that's
which isn't maybe how everyone
reaction.
else saw it. But I was just like, yeah, no, this is just like a guy that I would see in the hallway and be like, okay, like you exist. I don't know. It's not that funny to me that this guy's awkward. But I've also been someone who I was a really awkward kid. And so maybe there was some sort of like, I don't see what's so funny about being awkward. It's hard. I was like, you guys don't know what it's like to try to fit in.
Yeah. And that's the thing. This movie really, I think it's the first time that awkwardness, quote unquote, as a character trait entered the mainstream and became like, oh my, and then it became turned and twisted into like so trendy to be awkward.
I mean, I could go on. Maybe that is what it. Yeah, and I'm like feeling fire in my bones over this. Like the amount of people who became fake awkward or quirky as like a trend, like Zooey Deschanel, fucking get the fuck out of here. You are objectively a hot girl, and then to be like, oh, I'm not saying her specifically, I guess, but like there's so many girls like that.
But that's the thing. Like, remember when they first started promoting New Girl?
Yeah,
and I can't remember. They used some terrible combination of words to describe her. Oh God.
It
was something like I'm looking it up right now.
Quirky, zany.
It was like adorkable.
Adorkable.
Oh my God.
And you're like, yeah, no, this is like the overdone 90s trope of like, let's put glasses on a hot girl. And it's like, I'm so awkward. And I have friends that like, or I have people I've met in comedy who try to attach to that like being awkward identity. You see people who suddenly get glasses and it's like their persona changes. And I have glasses and I can't find them. And if that like, I've been walking around blind for 3 weeks because like, and if that's what really being quirky is, and it's fucking terrible. Like I hate it.
I love there's a bit that I saw Jack Knight do last night here in the main room at the Comedy Store, and he was talking about like he's like celebrities are all saying they're depressed and sad now, and it's like we don't fucking care.
Yeah, like
don't try and relate to us.
Yeah.
It's just like when people a few years ago were all like, oh my God, I'm so awkward. I don't know how to eat this slice of pizza.
It's like when my friends with their like super great tits and they're all hot and they're like, I'm so weird. I dropped my phone. It's like, no, that's just that you were clumsy for a second. You're not awkward. Like no one who's really awkward is trying to be awkward.
What's crazy to me about Napoleon Dynamite, and I say this as somebody who likes Napoleon Dynamite, and I still
son of a bitch.
I know, I'm so sorry, and I still think it holds up. And I
think that maybe I literally think that I just don't get it, and I was so mad about all that I was like, I refuse to see whatever everyone else sees in this. But
well, you're the first person who's ever brought up the point of people laughing at it not with it and laughing at it as like from a bullying perspective. And this movie was so popular and was a crazy cultural phenomenon. And I remember watching it because it was right before it came out in August, and it was right before right as school was starting back up for me.
Yeah.
And I went and saw it with one of my best friends, and he was like, he'd already seen it, and he was like, we got to go see this movie. This movie's great. And I went and watched it, and we were like starting freshman year of high school. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is nuts. This is, look at, I get this.
Like, oh yeah, well, you get it. You're like, oh, I feel the exact same way that he feels.
Right. But there's so many people who are also the same kind of people who would like quote Anchorman all the time, who I guarantee loved this movie. And they were like, oh, look at this. Look at these fucking dorks. All,
like the people I hung out with in high school were people who quote Anchorman. Yes, you nailed it. Whereas like, and don't get me wrong, I loved Anchorman.
I do too. It's a great movie.
But like, anytime your personality is quoting movies, that's not really a personality.
No, it's not a personality at all.
But so many people don't have personalities, and they're just clinging to other people's work as like a thing. So what can you do?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about this movie. It's really, there's a lot of really obvious big iconic images that show up in this movie. You got the Vote for Pedro shirt. You got the alpaca. You got the dance.
Yeah.
You have the side ponytail that she wears, and the outfits, and it's like it's in Ohio, and Idaho, even weirder.
Also felt attacked by her being dressed like that and people being like, so weird. I mean, you guys can't see me right now, but like I just have been weird my whole life. And I was like, okay, well, it's not that crazy, you guys, as I was probably wearing some sort of weird polka dot thing with shoulder pads or something.
There are people who they're like, what's the deal? He's got tater tots in his pockets. I'm like, that actually kind of seems like a good idea. I wish I had thought to keep tater tots in my pockets. I wish I always had tater tots.
That I will say, I get. That's the one redeeming quality.
There's just something about this movie that I'm not sure why it struck such a chord and became as popular as it was, because
maybe it was like a lot of people feeling like they related.
This is very interesting. And so there's a term, according to the Wikipedia page, a term that has been developed called the Napoleon Dynamite problem that has been used to describe the phenomenon where quirky films such as Napoleon Dynamite, Lost in Translation, and I Heart Huckabees, interesting pick films right there, prove difficult for researchers to create algorithms that are able to predict whether or not a particular viewer will like the film based on the ratings of previously viewed films. So
that's interesting. So they don't know.
They have no idea
who to target or why people like it, pretty much.
Yeah, because Napoleon Dynamite was only made for $400,000, which is
very impressive.
Very impressive
in terms of movies.
It made It almost made $45 million.
Can you imagine filming a movie and just being like, I don't know, let's do this silly thing. And then
let's feed casserole to a
because
llama.
So many people, especially like I feel like that level of filmmaking, you're like, well, we'll probably lose money, but it's a passion project.
Yep.
And like maybe some of our friends will see it. And they're like, holy shit.
They had to film that extra scene at the very end where they put LaFonda on a horse. That's crazy. They released extra scenes because of how popular this movie was.
That's so... Like,
never
we have
happens.
to add. Oh, my God.
It won Best Feature Film at the U.S. Comedy Arts Festival. It won Best Movie at the Teen Choice Awards.
I think maybe I was just like, this came out at a time in my life where I was more of a bro than I would like to admit or something.
I can't, and that's, you grew up in Alaska. So
and we're like, it's rednecky.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say, is it pretty like rednecky
big
bro
trucks,
up there?
And like in high school, I played hockey and I chewed tobacco and like... I know that's very jarring for people to hear.
I can kind of picture you with like a big chunk of dip in your mouth.
I had dip in my mouth. I drank whiskey from the bottle. Like I was a country song. I was like a human country song in probably the worst ways. So like, yeah, maybe I wasn't the audience for this, but it was the same as like, I haven't rewatched it. So I do wonder if my opinions would change because I know I've grown a lot as a person and changed in varying ways where like there was music in high school that I thought was stupid and now I'm like, yeah, no, like I get it now.
Right.
So
do you feel like if you rewatched it now, you'd be able to do it without the stigma that was brought on the movie before?
Maybe, although it's like this has nothing to do with the movie and everything to do with I'm a workaholic. So I feel like I don't know if I could bring myself to be like, I'm going to set aside time to try to rewatch a thing I viscerally hated and see how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch anything new and then I'm going to be like, let's revisit this thing that pissed me off a decade and a half ago. I just feel like, I don't know if that would it would be a dumb use of my time. But yeah, maybe. Because you grow and you change and there's things I thought were funny then that I would probably see now and be like, this is so dumb. Well, which is so funny too, because when things like Anchorman had a sequel come out,
Right.
I went and saw it, and I was like, "This sucks." But I don't know if it was worse than the original, or if I just got older and like was like, "Yeah, no, these jokes don't hit me anymore. This is meant for someone who is like in high school and is like,
Right. Yeah, I get that. Like, I went and saw 2001: A Space Odyssey a couple weeks ago because they did the remake, the remaster.
Oh, that's awesome.
70 millimeter, and it's still. And I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this movie's still great," but I don't think that it definitely fell in my internal rankings of movies because I'm like, you know what? This movie's way too long, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here that's really cool, but there's also some stuff that's totally unnecessary. And maybe for a movie that's like basically an overt art movie that was made by a studio, maybe a little bit too ethereal and too out in the air and too much, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's something that like I can only have because of the benefit of time and me
and growth and like seeing
and my
the
taste
world.
change.
Yeah, your taste change. Which
exactly.
Is, I mean, like I used to hate broccoli just as much as I feel like I hated Napoleon Dynamite, and I love broccoli now.
Man, I felt the same way about Brussels sprouts.
He sort of looks like broccoli, so I feel like
he does kind of look like broccoli.
Oh, Brussels sprouts! Oh my god, Brussels sprouts when they were like. That started popping up more. This is completely off movie topic, but like that pops up as like an appetizer now in a lot of restaurants, and they're just like marinated.
Oh yeah,
so good.
Brussels sprouts are amazing.
Like Brussels sprouts were disgusting, but then as an adult,
That's the thing. So okay, here's some other interesting things about Napoleon Dynamite. It's one of those movies that it really seems like lightning struck and never happened again.
Yeah.
For the filmmakers.
For the actors. Remember I feel like they tried to shove John Heder, how do you say his name?
Heder, I think.
Heder into so many things right after that. And it didn't work. Blades of Glory was like the
Blades of Glory was
the most successful,
thing.
I think. But then
Blades of Glory is really quite funny.
It's very funny
and very funny and good.
But then I'm like, that's all I remember.
They couldn't do anything. They had a whole bunch of movies directed by Jaron Jerusha Hess that went nowhere. Nacho Libre, which I watched based on how excited I was about Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, they made Napoleon Dynamite, now they got Jack Black.
They must have made money off of that just from the people going because of that, though.
I think they probably
like a little
did.
bit.
I'm looking it up right now. But I remember watching it and I was like, all right, this is totally fine. Yeah, it made just about $100 million. It made it cost $35 million to make.
Damn. What a budget to jump from like
I mean,
you're just never going to have as much like magic and heart as you will in the things where you had no money to make them.
Yeah. It's just never going to go that way. You got, this is their order of movies. Nacho Libre, very successful. Critically, okay. Then you got a movie called Gentlemen Broncos.
Never even heard of it.
Let's get into the real quirk fest, shall we?
God.
Starring Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. Jennifer Coolidge, who's great. She's super funny.
She's amazing. I feel like she's underrated. Only in the sense that I feel like she's the kind of person that people would reference her as the character she's been rather than like know her name, which I think is unfortunate.
It's true, yeah, but
she's one of those like, oh, you mean what, Stifler's mom or whatever? I don't know.
she's Stifler's mom.
I was like, wait, what if I'm not even thinking of the right person? As I said that, I was like, right, that's who we're talking about.
I hit the nail on the head. I loved her in Best in Show too. She's great in that.
She's just a great character actress.
Gentlemen Broncos was intended. Here's how bad Gentlemen Broncos did. It got an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was intended to be released nationally in theaters, and due to poor reviews, the national release was pulled from theaters.
That's hilarious.
So it was so bad that they were like, we're not going to show it. Done. Then they made a movie called Don Verdeen, which I have never heard of.
Me neither. This is just further down a rabbit hole.
Are
they dead now?
Sam Rockwell. Their careers are dead for sure. Masterminds, which is that movie with Zach Galifianakis.
Okay, I remember hearing about that one.
And it was also, it made $30 million. It cost about that much to make. Yeah, and that's the thing. So they've gone like, They went from being like huge critical success, and now they have nothing.
You know what, though? It's like, I mean, hopefully they were smart with their money, but that's such a reflection of what Hollywood tries to do sometimes, where they're like, oh, something was hot, let's just fucking burn this into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone pops off as an actress or a comedian, I feel like a lot of times they get overexposed. And it's like, let's put them in all this stuff. And
For sure.
And then it's like, that took like 20 years for them to get where they are, and then you're like wanting them to like output everything, like things every few months, and it's like, yeah, the quality's gonna go down.
Yeah, that's I mean, I guess in one way that's the downside to being an overnight success is that then you have all of a sudden
people want so much from you.
People want so much, and then if you don't have a body of work that you've already built up over a number of years to be ready for that,
yeah, you're scrambling,
and then all of a sudden you wind up making Napoleon Dynamite the TV series.
Oh no, was that a real thing?
Yep.
Oh God.
The entire
did they do an animated one?
They did an animated series. The entire original cast returned to reprise the roles. The series was canceled after 6 episodes.
Jeez, where's Pedro now?
Pedro? Let's see what Pedro's doing.
He should actually run for office.
Efren Ramirez. Actually, I feel like Funny or Die did a short with him.
Really?
To be Pedro running for office.
Well, good for them.
Let's see.
Milk the last of that cow for all it's worth.
He has since starred in great movies like Crank, High Voltage, The Pool Boys.
Amazing.
He was uncredited in When in Rome.
Oh,
You know, that one
Pedro.
movie where Kristen Bell and Josh Duhamel are quirky and weird.
Get
man.
the fuck out of here. I'm
so quirky.
I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of it all. These quirky losers.
It's just one of those things, you know? John Heater's career went from like the best, like I said, the best thing he did was Blades of Glory, which
was
I'm
great.
having a hard time even remembering the name of the movie, though, even though it was great.
But it was just like, yeah, it seemed like there was this flash in the pan moment where it seemed like he would be a regular recurring comedy movie star. You know, like that he would have blown up like, I don't know, sort of like Will Ferrell or you see like, I'm trying to think of.
I mean, Will Ferrell's probably the biggest
everywhere.
breakout comedy movie star
like how
of the
Adam
past
Devine
20
is
years.
or whatever. Like it just seemed like that was popular enough that he was gonna. It surprises me he hasn't been in more like big just blockbuster in the sense of like formulaically written to be like funny and do well in the theaters type of movies.
Well, the thing is, I think maybe that's a part of a response to the fact that it's hard to, once someone is known as being like the awkward person,
You're typecast.
They're typecast forever, and it's hard to have anybody come back from that. Like, okay, look at Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's career.
I will always look at Paul Rudd.
Ooh, who doesn't want to look at that dreamboat?
What a man.
But he started out, his first big break was Clueless.
Yeah.
And he played sort of, not an awkward character, but sort of like the, what's the right word for that? There's a trope for it, and I can't remember the name of it.
Wasn't he kind of douchey?
He was kind of douchey, but he was also like the person who she was supposed to be with all along, sort of.
Oh,
right?
wait, I'm like forgetting the movie. Yeah, you're right. Because
there's a name and there's a character name type for that, and I can't remember what it is.
That guy in the friend zone that you fall in love with.
Yes, yeah. That's
I don't know
close
what the actual term is.
It's like
the guy that none of us are actually going to end up with because we'll keep overlooking them and being like, I got to tell you about this guy I'm dating who's trash.
It's like the reverse of the girl who takes her glasses off and lets her hair down, and all of a sudden she's hot. It's
You're
the guy
right. It's
version.
like the male
of that.
version.
Yeah.
Where there is something about him that he like was like, I don't know how, quote, secretly hot because he's clearly hot.
Secretly hot. That's
but
pretty
he was like
fucking spot on.
Not the hot guy.
Right. Because he's not because he's not like, I guess when you look at movies, you look at someone who's like a traditionally hot dude and is like big and bulked
like
up.
Captain America types of.
Right. Like the girl, like the dude who, what's her name? Who Hillary Duff's sister dated in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
It's like the captain of the football team. He's not the captain of the football team.
You're right.
You always want to date the captain of the football team.
I always want to date Paul Rudd. Where are you?
Paul Rudd. Get over here, Paul. We need you down here.
Oh my God.
Everybody wants to get him out of the friend zone.
I know. That's so right though.
But yeah, because he built his career off of that, and he has still done a lot of great comedy
That's also
work.
just such a character's so relatable that like everyone's got a friend like that. Like everyone has the like. There's always going to be like the guy who isn't aware of how attractive he is. There's a girl who isn't aware of how attractive they are, or they're just good at being like the silly sidekick seems like a weird phrase.
But you need a
kind of,
sidekick.
yeah.
Every movie needs a sidekick.
Yeah.
And every friend group has someone who is sort of the sidekick role.
Yeah.
That's just naturally how groups
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They
it's
all
great.
fall into place like that.
So there's so many places for that to be plugged in, whereas when someone's so weird and that's the focal point, like, yeah, it was funny, but like it would become like a trope that would just get dead fast, where
Right.
I think something like what Paul Rudd does sort of has more depth to it in a way that like it's just more relatable to
Yeah.
more people.
This thing, there's no depth to awkwardness.
Yeah, like you can't like put that character anywhere else but
It's a puddle. It's not an ocean.
It's not an ocean, yeah. And it's just like there's only so much you can do before it's like, yeah, you've beaten this horse to death.
Right.
And then some.
Which is why nobody cares about awkward people anymore.
I know. Get the fuck out of here. Like, yeah, it's only so funny for so long to be like, I spilled my coffee again. Also, it hurts to spill coffee. It's not funny.
Oh,
I'm just angry.
whoops, my phone screen's so cracked. Oh, no.
I'm so wacky.
Whoa.
Oh, just like damsel in distress in the terms of like, I'm just a hot mess. And it's like, no, stop it. Stop it.
You can avoid being a hot mess.
I know you're independently wealthy from your parents too. Fix your goddamn phone screen. Like, what are you doing?
You can avoid being awkward
Yeah.
to some degree at least.
Yeah. Some people put it on though. It's literally, and that's crazy to me because all the people I know who are actually awkward or were dorky and stuff, it's like, do you know how hard I tried not to be? And then,
Yeah.
like, I don't like that my glasses fog up. It's just what happens.
Right, me either. When it gets hot outside, like it is right now, the bridge of my glasses
Yes.
gets so steamy, and I can't see anything, and it makes me so upset.
Yeah, and
But
there's
this
just
is
women with them
something-
falling down their nose, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just like, I'm so crazy," and you're like, "No, stop it,
Stop
fix your
it.
glasses."
You're making all of the actual awkward tendencies that happen to normal people look bad.
Yeah, you're making us who already fear we look stupid.
Right. And maybe, I mean, like I said before, I think that might be why this movie struck a chord, but also why movies like this don't really exist anymore.
Yeah, because it's just like a rare gem where like
Yeah.
you can't. It's been done. You know what I mean? That's the thing is if somebody tried to really ride an awkward high school person type of role for a film again, people would be like, you're just trying. People would go, you're trying to remake Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. No one can ever make a movie that distills that as perfectly as Napoleon Dynamite did.
You're not wrong, even though I still hate it.
I know. And it's fine. Look, I love this movie, but I understand why you hate it.
Probably hated it because I hated myself, if we're being honest.
But
I'm
you
getting
don't hate
too
yourself
deep.
anymore.
But I don't hate myself anymore. Isn't that crazy? What's going to happen to my comedy?
Oh, no. Oh,
no.
God.
Ugh, self-love. I'm becoming one of those people. Gross.
Oh, man. Have fun with your great meditation and your
That's the next great Napoleon Dynamite
hikes.
is someone who's an Instagram influencer pretending they have it all together and snapping and losing their mind.
Now, that is a movie I would love to see.
Okay, cut this out. We're going to make it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is there a movie that you would recommend people see? Since you didn't like Napoleon Dynamite, what's a favorite of yours?
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of something that's like more current. You won't like this probably. You know what movie I love? It's old.
What?
Now and Then.
I've never
Did
even
you
heard
ever
of
see
that.
It's such a like women love it type of movie, but it came out when I was a young girl, and there's a group of 4 young girls, and they like make a pact to always be there for each other. It very much is like corny as fuck, but then like when they're adults, they come back together, and it's just a real testament to the strength of female friendship. And yeah, I'm pushing
wow.
female friendship movies. Okay. Also,
Look
anything
at
with
this.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but only because of what he looks like.
Look at this cast.
I mean,
Gabby Hoffman, Demi Moore, Christina Ricci, Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, by the way, but the fact that Christina Ricci grows up to be Rosie O'Donnell, what the fuck? And like I remember watching them when you first watch it, you're watching them as kids. That's literally the 4 group of girls is like a young girls because I'm like a 90s baby. So it was like 90s girls version of like when you do the Sex in the City thing. I know you probably don't do this, but people are like, I'm a Carrie, I'm a Samantha.
Right.
So people would be like, I'm a Roberta, I'm a teeny. But then you see Roberta, Christina Ricci, just quintessential 90s movie star, loved her. And she's very tomboyish and like had brothers in the movie. And I was like, I get it. I relate to her. And then she grows up to be Rosie O'Donnell. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, poor
Because
Christina.
like when she was, which is so fucked up now. I know I'm not whatever, but like as a 9-year-old who was like or however fucking old I was. I don't know. But seeing Christina Ricci get to make out with Devon Sawa and being like, oh my God, like the Hawkeye likes her. And then she was
turns
Rosie
into Rosie
O'Donnell, who
O'Donnell.
just seems like, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, Rosie O'Donnell is great in Harriet the Spy. So
I mean, Rosie O'Donnell is great. She's so funny.
in general, she's great.
I just was like, to me, because she was
You
such a
think
tomboy.
Christina Ricci deserved better?
Well, her
in the
character
end.
was such a tomboy and like seemed so like I related to her because I was a tomboy and this is fucked up, very into like athletics. And I was like, well, what happened? Like, did you stop playing sports? Did you?
No, you didn't keep your aerobics up. You
I was
didn't.
like,
You didn't
oh
keep your heart rate
no.
going.
And it was like a genuine place of like, is she doing okay? Somebody talk to Roberta. Where's her husband? Is he dead? Like, why is she hurting herself? Well, I'm gonna get blogged about for sure. But
Hey, that's fine. Look, this podcast needs all the publicity it can get.
get in here.
Let's wrap things up. Jessica, Michelle, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm not a good movie person.
It's okay. You hate a movie that I really enjoy, and I think we had a nice little discussion about it.
I think we did. I think of you a lot lower than I did previously. Now that I know that,
Fine.
but
It is what it is.
I'm kidding. I love you.
Oh my God, so awkward. Fuck. Where can my listeners find you?
At JMS Comedy all over the internet. I have a podcast called Ignorance Is #blessed. I will be at Skankfest. I believe this weekend when this comes out. I just did air quotes. I'm so dumb. The 14th and 15th. And then I'm coming to Cleveland at Hilarities the 20th and 21st. So come see me headline in Cleveland.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, or feature for Bert Kreischer. But also, like, I'm featuring for him 2
options.
nights and then I'm headlining, so you can come to both. And then I'll be in Edinburgh all of August doing my one-woman show, which is much different than my stand-up, Codependent Arising. Come see it.
I am available on the internet at Diet J, Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. Got a lot of stuff coming up in LA this month in July, so please take a look and come see some things.
Yay.
And as always, hey, guess what? This podcast is gaining listeners and high new listeners, and please leave a rating or review on iTunes because it helps. And I want to climb. Look, I chose the TV and film category instead of the comedy category.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm in philosophy.
It's easier to
or
break into that way.
Society and culture.
And I want to climb those ranks because I don't give a shit about these Game of Thrones recap podcasts. All right, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I'm getting buried by true crime, which I get it.
We're doing the real shit here, okay,
Yes.
people. So help us recognize that. Leave a rating, leave a review, and follow Jessica Michelle and go see all of her things. She's
Yes.
great.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks so much for coming in.
You're great. You guys go review the podcast. Thanks for having me.
This has been Blockbusting, folks. Go see something good for a change.